inventions that he came up with, the fundamental laws of physics that he figured out, underpin all of our modern day life. They gave rise to the invention of lasers, telecommunication satellites, cell phones. They're everywhere.
Albert Einstein was born in Ulm, Germany on March 14, 1879, but spent most of his childhood in Munich before his family moved to Milan, Italy. After graduating from the Swiss Polytechnic Institute at age 21, Einstein had a hard time finding employment.
Einstein tried to apply for multiple academic positions and actually was turned down because of a recommendation letter that one of his teachers wrote for him.
Albert Einstein found full-time work as a patent clerk in Bern, Switzerland in 1902, and soon thereafter married Mileva Marek. They would eventually have 2 sons together. In 1905, often called Einstein's miracle year, he published 4 hugely important theories, including that of special relativity, or as most people know it, E equals mc squared.
Einstein faced significant obstacles in his path to successful academic and scientific career. There were very few Jews in academia in the 1910s when Einstein became a professor, first in Prague, then in Switzerland, and then in Berlin.
Einstein finished formulating what is considered to be his masterpiece, his general theory of relativity, in 1915.
General relativity wasn't actually proven until 1919 when Sir Arthur Eddington was able to observe it happen with a solar eclipse.
Albert Einstein became instantly world famous. Also in 1919, Albert Einstein divorced his first wife and married his cousin, Elsa Lowenthal.
Adding more luster to his name, Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921 for his theory of photoelectric effect.
Einstein came to the United States in 1933 after he had been essentially chased out of Germany by the Nazis. And he became a member of the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton.
Albert Einstein continued his theoretical studies while living in Princeton and became a U.S. citizen in 1940. In addition to his research, Einstein is also known for his deep commitment to many humanitarian causes and his wry sense of humor.
It is said that Einstein was asked to explain the theory of relativity. He said, "Put your hand on a hot stove for a minute, it seems like an hour. But sit next to a beautiful woman for an hour, and it seems like a minute. That's relativity."
Albert Einstein died on April 18, 1955, at the age of 76.
Every time you pick up a cell phone to answer a call, you're using the laws of quantum mechanics. Every time you look at a satellite television image, you're using something that is invoking the theory of relativity. Einstein's work continues to be felt today, and it's going to continue to be important for generations to come.
The things I remember about Einstein are more his personality. The man who warned President Roosevelt about the dangers of nuclear weapons. The man who was offered the second presidency of Israel and turned it down. And the rumpled-haired elderly professor who once, when faced with paparazzi, stuck his tongue out, resulting in the most iconic picture of this amazing personality.
English physicist, mathematician, and philosopher Sir Isaac Newton is perhaps the most famous scientist in history. Born to a farmer in 1642, Newton worked his way through school waiting tables and cleaning wealthier students' rooms. He went to university at Cambridge, where he would eventually earn a professorship. During the Great Plague in 1665, Cambridge shut down and Newton returned home. It was during this hiatus that he first conceived the method of infinitesimal calculus, began to theorize the laws of planetary motion, and started his work with light and color. Though his discoveries would change the world of science, he didn't care about the glory and fame that came with them.
He wasn't too concerned with publishing it, making it available to other people, getting glory for his own sake. It was an intellectual challenge that he wanted to deal with.
Every discovery that Newton made had two aspects. First, Newton made the discovery, and second, other people had to discover that he had made the discovery.
In 1671, Newton demonstrated his revolutionary reflecting telescope for the Royal Society, and soon after published his notes on color, describing his research on optics. After a visit from Royal Society member Edmund Halley, encouraging Newton to prove Robert Hooke's hypothesis on planetary motion, Newton wrote his Principia, which introduced his 3 laws of motion and first described the idea of gravity.
Newton's Principia is generally reckoned to be the single most important scientific book ever written, because for the first time it set forth a working, quantitative, exact, mathematical system based upon experiment and critical observation.
His work made him very popular and led Newton to being elected to Parliament. After several years in London, Newton suffered a nervous breakdown. Though he came out of it, his interest in physical science was replaced with philosophy and alchemy, particularly how they both related to a higher power.
Alchemy was concerned with manipulating what were seen to be 4 elemental properties in nature, the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, and water, and realizing that these things made all substances, that you could therefore not only make any other substance, such as gold, but you could also somehow learn the secrets by which God had put the world together.
Newton's later years were spent less in science and more as a public figure. Upon Robert Hooke's death in 1703, Newton became president of the Royal Society, though he didn't get along with many of its members and made many enemies. Newton spent his final years a wealthy and famous man, whose discoveries made enormous impact on society.
In the century that came after, in the 1800s, we find that the fascination with science, with order, and with reasoned knowledge really set the whole tone of that culture. The one single figure from whom they drew most deeply was, in fact, Isaac Newton.